Imagine standing in the heart of the oldest land where humanity ever built a civilization, Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. This is the cradle of writing of the first state and the birthplace of a city that would rise to become an eternal symbol, Babylon. But for Babylon to achieve greatness, it needed a guiding hand, and that person was Hammurabi, a king who was not only a warrior but also a lawgiver, a builder, and a political genius. Let us turn back time to understand how Hammurabi transformed a small city-state into the very heart of Mesopotamia. Around 1810 BCE, a boy was born into a noble family in the city-state of Babylon, which at the time was a minor, little-known city among a host of far more powerful forces in Mesopotamia. His name was Hammurabi. His father, Sin-Muballit, ruled Babylon during a period of great upheaval when the small city was surrounded by expanding powers, Larsa, Eshnunna, Elam, Mari, and nomadic tribes lurking beyond the borders. At that time, there was no empire strong enough to control all of Mesopotamia. The city-states constantly clashed, formed alliances, and betrayed one another in an endless cycle of war over water, land, and resources. Babylon, though located in a strategic, central region, was still a minor player standing outside the grand game of power. However, Hammurabi observed all of this closely as a young prince, and when he ascended the throne around 1792 BCE, at the age of just 18, he understood that Babylon's destiny could no longer remain insignificant. A colossal challenge lay before him to turn a modest city-state into an empire capable of dominating all Mesopotamia, something no one had achieved since the time of Sargon the Great of Akkad. But Hammurabi did not rush to use force. He recognized that to become a leader, he first needed to build strong foundations. He began with quiet reforms. Irrigation systems were dredged, repaired, and expanded to ensure agricultural output. Temples were built or restored, both to win divine favor and to show the people that he was supported by the gods. At the same time, Hammurabi built a professional and disciplined army, equipped to a relatively high standard for the time. The army was not just a tool for conquest, but a symbol of the order and authority he represented. In diplomacy, Hammurabi was exceptionally skillful. He quickly established friendly ties with Mari, a major city-state in the north capable of checking the power of Elam. Instead of jumping into wars, Hammurabi often chose neutrality or temporary alliances, while quietly observing and analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of his rivals. For many years, he waited patiently and prepared. Then the moment came. Around 1763 BCE, the balance of power in the region began to shift. Major city-states fell into civil unrest or weakened due to prolonged warfare. Hammurabi decided it was time to act. His first campaign targeted Larsa, a wealthy southern rival that controlled key irrigation canals and fertile lands. The battle was fierce, but Hammurabi emerged victorious. He not only gained territory but also control over water, a lifeline, in an agriculture-based economy reliant on irrigation. Soon after, he turned his sights to Eshnunna in the northeast, taking advantage of internal chaos. Hammurabi proved to be not just a shrewd political strategist, but also a formidable general. After Eshnunna, he turned against Mari, his former ally. Despite their past cooperation, Mari posed a potential threat to absolute power. Hammurabi launched a campaign to conquer Mari and destroyed its grand palace, an act both symbolic and strategic, as the palace contained thousands of diplomatic records and intelligence documents. By the end of his reign, Hammurabi controlled all of central and southern Mesopotamia, something no one had done since the Akkadian Empire. This vast territory was ethnically, linguistically, and religiously diverse and ripe with potential rebellion. But instead of relying solely on force, Hammurabi turned to a more powerful tool, the law. The Code of Hammurabi was not merely a system of rule, but one of unification. Engraved on a nearly 2-meter tall black basalt stele were more than 280 laws written in cuneiform, the dominant script of the time. The laws covered every aspect of life: marriage, divorce, property, inheritance, debt, contracts, labor, theft, and murder. One of the most notable principles was the concept of proportional justice: an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Punishments were clearly defined for each act, creating a transparent legal system where everyone, from commoners to nobles, was bound by the same laws. Hammurabi rejected arbitrariness, and his code laid the foundation for the rule of law, an idea that future civilizations would only begin to perfect. But Hammurabi was more than a lawgiver. He was the builder of a city that could rival any power center in history. Under his reign, Babylon became a symbol of order, wealth, and faith. He constructed grand temples to honor Marduk, the city's patron deity. Remarkably, he elevated Marduk to the status of supreme god in the entire Mesopotamian pantheon, a clever move to unite various peoples under a shared religion. His ambitions didn't stop there. Hammurabi invested in infrastructure. Roads were improved to stimulate trade. Canals were expanded to mitigate droughts and floods. Grain storage facilities were built to handle crises. Everything was organized and managed under a strict administrative system. Babylon's growth attracted merchants, craftsmen, scholars, and emissaries from across the known world. From a forgotten outpost, Babylon rose to become the political, economic, and religious center of the ancient world. Hammurabi died around 1750 BCE. After him, the empire he built began to weaken due to the incompetence of his successors. Yet what he left behind did not vanish. The Code of Hammurabi still exists today, serving as the first testament to the ideas of law and justice in human history. The city of Babylon, though it experienced many ups and downs, lives on in legend and epic. Nearly 4,000 years have passed, yet the name Hammurabi remains in every history lesson about government, law, and power. He was not just the king of Babylon. He was the man who turned an obscure city-state into the first cradle of order and human civilization. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and stay tuned for more stories about the people who shaped the world.